Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final day of the Hitbox Stormgrounds Invitational. I am Tetra, I am joined by the wonderful forecourt Jester, and we are here for the grand finals. It's going to be a best of five, and it's going to be very exciting.
We've seen some exciting games throughout the quarters and now into the semis, but both of these teams coming out ahead of their opponents in pretty impeccable form, I gotta say. We saw some really interesting stuff over the last few days of Thursday, Friday, but now into the grands, a best of five awaits us, Tetra. I cannot wait to see what we're about to have here for our first map, which is going to be Cursed Hollow.
Yep, going to be super interesting, and we were both discussing this earlier, and the team, everyone knows both these teams that are in here. Team Liquid, consistently one of the best teams in the world, let alone Europe, just consistently winning everything they go into. But Na'Vi, team that plays slightly differently. They will prioritize different stuff, and they will be the ones to come in with the interesting strategies, and they will be the ones to make it work. So we're both keeping an eye on them. They did catch us off guard during one of their matches where mid-fight we noticed the hunt as it flew directly into the enemy's face.
Don't worry, the enemy noticed it mid-fight too. You are not prepared. What? Yeah. That was kind of the casting at the time. So what is Na'Vi going to be bringing to the table? Well, if we take a look at the draft as we jump on into it, already first pick, first ban for Team Liquid. It's going to be Malfurion out, and the first pick, Uther. So we have been seeing actually this strategy more and more as the double bans have become more and more comfortable with people. But Na'Vi, as that second ban, they were basically had their hand forced into a Zeratul ban.
Yeah, banning the Zeratul. No one wants to play against it. No one wants to risk leaving it to just see if they can maybe pick it up. So, they said Zeratul getting banned very quickly, and I would not be surprised to see Na'Vi here pick up at least a support in their first few pickups, due to the fact that Liquid has both banned a support and picked a support, meaning there's a very good chance that they could ban a second support, really limiting Na'Vi's options for their next picks.
Which is why you need to see a support right here. The Kael'thas already picked up. Na'Vi, I don't think, can afford to go for the Kael'thas Jaina, and no, they can't. They are going to get that Rhaegar going. Which is basically, like, again, their hand is forced at this point, because with that threat, we saw this actually on the road to BlizzCon over the weekend. We had so many teams forced into Lilies over the weekend, and not a single one of them won on my stream.
Yeah, we've had a bit of Lili in the EU, which has seen moderate success. For example, Fnatic have run it once, and it went surprisingly well. I, in fact, have gone up against Fnatic when they were running it, and I laned against Ace of Spades, and he crushed me with his Lili in lane. It was humiliating, but he is a fantastic player, so I wasn't too worried about it. But yeah, like you said, picking up the Rhaegar, definitely something they were forced into, but still a very solid pick. Any kind of focus they're getting on the Kael'thas, if Ancestral goes down quick enough, they can keep that Kael'thas alive, and he can continue to do his absurd amounts of damage.
So next up for the picks and bans, looking at Team Liquid, I mean, Jaina is very much a big pick right here. But at the same time, I would probably see Team Liquid actually solidify out a tank. Mirrodin has actually been a very popular one for those big engages. We already have that Uther, so Mirrodin, Uther, you're completing yourself that dive comp ready to go for a melee possibility.
Yep, taking the Mirrodin is a bit more of a safe first pick in view your opponent hasn't really shown their hand of what they're going for, due to the fact that Mirrodin is a better counter to most melee assassins than Johanna is. Team Liquid, though, first picking up Nazeebo and Zagara, both heroes who they've prioritized very highly throughout this entire tournament.
So, double specialist in this round. Now, you were just mentioning just before we went live, we might see something sneaky, and now I'm starting to kind of agree with you. Nazeebo on the resurgence for those picks. Once upon a time, he was kind of like that big first pick meta, but these days, haven't really seen a lot of them. This last week, I have seen more Nazeebo in Heroes of the Storm than I think the last 6 months.
I would agree. He was super good back in the day, especially with his Ravenous Spirit, when it had that huge radius and could basically catch a whole team no matter where they stood. Combine that with an Oof with Divine Storm, and the fight was pretty much over if you landed it correctly. But nowadays it's more the Gargantuan Spider build, which is more consistent over time damage, but with that build you will consistently see Nazeebo's top the damage charts.
Now, once upon a time, yeah, Specialized Toxin was actually the way to go. We see
Oh
more and
my
more
God.
spider builds these days, so we'll have to keep an eye on exactly what Team Liquid is going to be running there. Zagar to go with it, like, this is summons, this is a lot of bodies out on the field, this is big amounts of push, but as we continue on, Johanna was actually going to be a ban here from Na'Vi into a Jaina ban from Liquid. They are not going to allow Na'Vi to pick out both those mages. That would actually spell disaster for that pushing backline of those specialists. So Na'Vi right here, this is a big opportunity for them to kind of try to figure out exactly what Liquid is going to flesh out their roster with, and this is a big opportunity now to kind of see, is this going to be fight, will this be disengage, or will this be defense?
Yeah, Na'Vi, they are now in a situation where they get first pick on their warriors, and there we have the double warrior pickup for them, Anubarak and Muradin. They already banned out Johanna, limiting Team Liquid down to a couple of the other warriors, so they're limited to Arthas and Tyrael and other heroes like that.
So, speaking of Arthas, I would not be too surprised to actually see him as the frontliner here, because we already have like two of the backline DPS. Zagara is going to be able to do a lot of normal, steady damage, a lot of sustained damage. And Nazeebo can actually follow up any of our Howling Blasts with the Zombie Donut.
Never heard it referred to as that, but yeah, you are completely right. It is a very nice and simple wombo combo they can do. And Zagara, even though it doesn't do much damage, can just drop her roaches directly on top of all of that with the infested drop ability. It's a lot of damage that can just be focused on that single area. Very nice for just roaming gank.
So the Zombie Donut is actually a shout out to Tasteless. When he was learning Korean meta, he had no idea what any of the skill names are, so the Zombie Donut was born.
I like it. I like it a lot. And there is the Tyrael coming out of Team Liquid, and the Lily double support. Even though Na'Vi have already picked up their support, so they're just going with the fact, well, we don't have the option to really go two warriors, or at least we don't want to go two warriors. So let's throw in extra healer, keep our team alive and safe.
Okay, so actually, you know what? I take that back. I think they might have had a little bit of a better showing here with the double warrior, because it's double warrior, double specialist, and the Tyrael versus double warrior Kael'thas. I guess it kind of comes down to the Na'Vi having that last pick, so they're going to just play it super safe. Double healer Tyrael that shields and heals. Divine Storm. I'm very curious if that's going to be a big thing here. But Lily, could this actually be the Divine Shield and Water Elemental?
I really don't think so. As much as I would like to see it,
Water Dragon.
Because Water Dragon is a very cool ability, but it is just so bad in terms of actual damage if you compare it to most other damage abilities in the game. If you wanted to pick one of these two to go with their damage heroic, then I would suggest bringing out the Uther, because it also provides the stun as opposed to slow, and is a wider team area as opposed to Lily's single target with a bit of splash damage on the low damage Water Dragon.
It's a low damage Water Dragon, but it's a 70% slow. It's the biggest slow in the game, Tension.
Well, biggest slow other than Pressure Point and the Earthgrass Totem.
I don't know.
They're both 90%.
All right. They technically count as slows, but they don't last for 1 second. Water Dragon lasts a lot longer than that.
Oh my god.
This is so we said something cheeky is about to happen here.
Yep, we were right.
Cheeky indeed. I got to take a screenshot of these drafts. Like,
yeah, this is awesome.
Dude, WTF Europe. Like, what is going on across the pond? Team
This
Liquid
is actually
and Na'Vi.
really interesting. Both these teams just running so sustainy. For all with that Frostwolf Resilience plus 2 Warriors and a Rhaegar for extra Ancestral. And then add that with Liquid with the double support, Tyrael Shields. There's just so much sustain on both of these teams.
Well then, so the double specialist I thought was off to an interesting start.
Apparently that is not Thrall, it is Tyrande, because they couldn't click Tyrande. Boo! I was excited. Because the thing is, Thrall could fit into that comp. Not very well, but he could fit into that comp.
He doesn't fit into any comp.
No, especially not against a Lily. When you're already blinded for duration as opposed to single auto attacks, you're not even going to get that hit off with your last Wind Fury.
Alright, so no Thrall, it will be the Tyrande. The Tyrande feels a lot better to go with this
Yeah,
comp.
makes a lot more sense.
Because the vulnerability is about to come out. So the Hunter's Mark is going to be leading us into quite a bit of damage there from Kael'thas, but the lockup is going to be the early game roam. It's probably going to be the Mirrodin as well as the Tyrande for an early game roam here on Cursed Hollow, because they can go to basically any of these lanes. Kael'thas for the damage, a Nubarak for the extra stuns. Rhaegar can engage and get a lightning shield going off, which will just land easier stuns. So I suspect we are going to be seeing something a bit closer to that. The big thing is how quickly will that change, because Team Liquid with double specialists, I can't imagine they're going to split those specialists up.
I would say they would in the early game, but especially on this map, I really doubt they'd stick them in the lane together, because that means that Tyrell's going to be laning with a support, and Tyrell doesn't really need to. I would say like maybe Tyrell solo and then give each one of the specialists a dedicated support and just let them both push really hard, because the team of Na'Vi, none of them are actually incredible other than Anub'arak at holding a lane.
Anub'arak can easily hold a lane. Rhaegar solos quite frequently actually out here, and
he solos a lot, but he's not like the ultimate clear machine, because he's going to take a lot of harassment if he's versus 2, if it's a roaming squad, which it would be what that results in. So it's going to be interesting to see, because he obviously can clear with his lightning shield and just go into the middle of the minions and just wipe them out. But if he's against like a Zagara, he's going to take a lot of damage for it.
You're right. It's not the most ideal of lanes for that Rhaegar, but at the same time, he can hold and soak. It's going to be ridiculously hard to take him down. But I don't see Team Liquid going for a 2-1-2, because the threat of the roam will actually be that much more prevalent. Because in a lane of 3, you have to force the opponent's roamers to either come to the lane and do laning phase, or you give up that lane pressure and you're going to lose towers very quickly. So a 2-1-2 doesn't have that same kind of pressure, I don't think.
It's going to be interesting to see. Still kind of sad we don't get to see Thrall, but it is still quite cool. And like you said, the roaming can really be what makes the difference here for Na'Vi. But as we've seen plenty of times, no game of Heroes is won in the early game.
Yeah, not with these teams. Oh,
yep, exactly.
I had an 8-minute, 52-second game yesterday. It was pretty much over.
That's pretty awesome.
It was pretty much over in 4 minutes. We just had to push from then on in. So the early game can make a significant difference, but with teams of this caliber, it is going to come down to something closer, to probably about the 15 to 20 mark, as is per normal. And again, I really do think that Team Liquid have a big chance here to do the 3-man comp to stop any kind of big roaming out of that. The Tyrande, by the time we get to big team fights, she's going to transition to better zone control rather than bigger threats in that regard. But you never know, actually, with these teams. We've seen Searing Arrows, we've seen Seasoned Marksman. We haven't seen like these big support builds from her before. But in this case, I think we're going to be needing to pump out as many Hunter's Marks as possible.
Yeah, I would agree. You need to get that extra damage out for your team. As, like you said, Tyrande, you don't really see the full support. You sometimes see her going a bit more damage, because she's not really any of those roles. She's not incredible, huge amounts of damage coming out. She's not an assassin. She's not a full support. She just doesn't do enough healing for that kind of role. She is, as I've said before in a lot of cases, a jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, she doesn't, on her own, not that impressive of a hero. But by the end of it all, absolutely. Could definitely see some really interesting things from these teams.
Yeah, but for now, it is time to introduce our two teams. So, ladies and gentlemen, spawning on the left-hand side, it is the blue team of Team Liquid. And in the top lane, messing around together, it is Black Scorp playing the Nazeebo, Vortex playing the Lili, in the mid lane, playing the Tyrael, it is going to be Lucifron, and in the bot lane, playing the Uther, it is going to be Grandpa Cutter, and playing the Zagara, it is going to be Falcon. And spawning on the right-hand side, it is the red team. It is going to be Natus Vinsir. Starting in the top lane, playing the Anub'arak, it is going to be Wubby. In the mid lane, playing the Muradin, it is Breeze. Playing the Tyrande, it is Schwimpy. And playing the Kael'thas, it will be Eternal. And holding up the bot lane, playing the Rhaegar, it is Splendor.
So it does look like it is going to be the Tyrande and Mirrodin roaming here early, and as you actually were looking at, it is actually going to be a split up. 2-1-2, one support, one specialist per lane. I'm just not confident that that is going to be enough to deter Na'Vi from roaming.
Yep, I would agree. It's going to be, like, no matter who they gank, even with the support there, there's still a squishy specialist there in the form of either Zagara or that Nazeebo. And as we can see, Black Scorp playing a lot more passively, and same with Falcon. Both of them realize that there is this roaming squad, both of them playing really far back. Neither one's pushing up the lane. They're not losing any XP for this either, so right now, they're just not taking that unnecessary risk. They could both be pushing really hard right now. Now they have vision of Muradin, so we may see Zagara and Uther begin to put some pressure on that bot lane. And Black Scorp playing a very far forward considering he knows where the enemy are, but backing up the second he finishes the wave, because he knows that now that tower's been taken, they could be nearby, but we know that they are on their way to the bot lane.
Bottom is definitely pushing it a little bit harder there, but as I said, the threat of that double stun to come in with the Nubrak with the triple stun is just too much. Like, Lily herself will not be able to really deal with that. Blinding Wind or no. And as we take a little bit of time here for these transitions, let's look at those talents. I see a Serpent build, a Timeless Serpent if I know my level 1.
Timeless Creature, increase the duration of Cloud Serpent by 50%. We also have a Reach coming in from Uther, which is kind of interesting.
Uther can actually get separated from his range in this regard. So Reach is just going to allow him to play a little bit more safe. Remember, there's one tank, 2 healers, 2 specialists. So if either of the tank or one of those healers go down, we are going to be in a little bit of trouble there from Liquid. So the Reach just tells me that he's going to try to play it a little bit more safe. But it also, that's going to be a hit to his mana by the time we get into mid-game.
Yep, and it's the same with Lily. The fact that she's not running the Conjurer's Pursuit at level 1 means that if she's not running Pitch Perfect at level 7, then she's going to be very low on mana by the time we get to the late game, which may be mitigated by the fact we actually have 2 supports here to take a bit of the load off. But we'll have to see. Gank Squad has made its way up to the top lane. Black Scorp and Vortex both quite far forward, but neither of them just going to get out of position here enough to get caught out. Black Scorp spidering over the wall. Oh, they focus the beetle. There we go. They retarget themselves onto Wubby, and that one spider is enough to delay him for quite a while. Doesn't look like Liquid are going to contest this permanently. Spiders again. This time Breeze tanks them, and Wubby is able to pick up the tribute. First tribute going over to Na'Vi, but Liquid not really losing anything for this. Not risking a fight where they didn't need to, and they're able to clear these mercenaries in the bot lane.
Now, the only good thing out of Team Liquid right there into that mid is that they had a bit of an extra experience soak, but at this point, that's pretty negligible. Any kill going either way could wildly swing the experience. So overall, still pretty much on par, but Na'Vi picking up that tribute, I mean, they're going to be feeling a little bit better about it. So as I said, this 2-1-2 comp from Team Liquid is not getting any kind of big early game damage down. The roams haven't really gotten any kind of big kills, but they have had the pressure, and that has kept these guys at bay.
Yeah, but Liquid, as we can see, they're putting on pressure in whichever lane they are pretty sure that the roaming squad is in. They saw the roaming squad go through mid lane, so the top lane suddenly started putting the pressure on. There is the stun combos going down onto Tyrael, though, and he's teleporting away, gets the heal from Grabaketa. Reach really working for him that time, allowing Lucifron to survive there, and that was very close.
As I said, the Reach. This is not a healing Lily. Sure, she has Q, but look at her build. I mean, that's Bouncing Serpent, that's Timeless Serpent, and I'm not entirely too sure which of the wind it is.
Mass Vortex.
So that's going to hit more people?
Yep, from 2 targets to 4.
Right, so she is going for the control aspect. Remember, there's 2 tanks and a Tyrande that's going to be jumping into these guys every single time. That blind is going to be key to survivability.
Very much so. This is just such new ground for us to be seeing here for now, though. Liquid just beginning to push themselves forward. 2 healers and a Tyrael. Nice block from Grabaketa. Unfortunately, though, the Pierce from Breeze will deny that tribute for another couple seconds. Nope, stun from Tyrande will deny that again. And they're just not giving this up at all. Breeze getting ready to hammer over to Stormblock over the wall again. Him and Infernal both ready, and they can continue to do this for as long as possible. And now Liquid finally going to start pushing their way forward to try and contest this. Stormbolt does not land, the owl is blocked by Grandpacutter, and that is the second tribute of the game going to Liquid.
Alright, so 1-1 for tributes. The Rhaegar was down into the bottom lane for a long time out of that one, so you can see the experience lead has actually now gone over to Na'Vi by about a quarter of a level. The Nubrak's still up top, the Nazeebo didn't come down there either, so both sides, I mean, it's basically just a measured pace at this point. The third tribute, however, should be more or less level 10 for Na'Vi, and if we don't get any kind of other kind of big pressure out here from Team Liquid, there's going to be a window of opportunity against
bot lane. In comes Schwimpy and Breeze. They get the stun onto the Uther, the one with cleanse, just trying to pick him off so he can't cleanse his teammates. However, the heals, because Lily is down here as well, keeping Grandpacutter safe and healthy, and he is just able to get out. This gang squad, nothing they could do against this double healer composition. I'm quite surprised they just haven't gone up and tried to get rid of Nazeebo instead.
Well, as you said, I mean, these guys are just going back and forth, and they are keeping tabs on that gank squad. If they see him bottom, Nazeebo can go top. If they don't see him, Nazeebo just backs off. The three-man lane is bringing all the boys to the yard, though.
Well, Uther gets stunned again. He's just pushing his way through, though. Tribute has already gone over the Na'Vi. Liquid unable to contest this. And you were right. It is a water dragon coming in from Lily.
So Water Dragon for the slow. We have Maw on the field. We got Gargantuan, the Judgment. There is a lot of battlefield control for this team, Team Liquid. And actually, Anubarak losing out that dual top, that will lead us now into a big experience lead coming out from Liquid. I didn't exactly see how Anubarak lost that duel, but Blackscorp just kind of showing the power of the solo Nazeebo when uninterrupted.
Yeah, but the power of spiders shall continue to push your lane until you have to leave it. And for the moment, we're going to see Liquid just beginning to just start doing their mercenaries, starting on their hard camp. However, Na'Vi are going to be responding by starting their boss. And Liquid, they do not know about this. Nazeebo is going to notice very shortly that neither Wubby or Eternal is in his lane. There we go. He's going to start peeking down here, see if he can work out what's going on. And he sees it. Frozen Spiders gets full vision. And Liquid, they're on their way up here, but they're going to be far too late to contest this. And there you go, they just cancel their run-ups and just start going back to lanes again.
Well, I mean, the boss was still going over to Na'Vi. Nobody was really able to stop that at all. In terms of pressure, I do actually see both of our specialists into the top, but wow, the timing is basically impeccable here from Na'Vi.
Yep, Na'Vi beginning to move up. They want to fight over this tribute. The boss is putting pressure onto the Liquid base. Uther is completely separated from his team by an entire squad of Na'Vi. Needs to be super careful. Very well positioned Phoenix. There's the Judgment being used onto Tyrande, but she gets cleansed. There is the Web Blast. I'm not sure who's it used onto. Water Dragon goes onto Breeze. He just tanks it up. Uther gets picked off. Blackscorp is the one in the web. He comes out of it. They're trying to do some damage, but Liquid are yet to pick anyone off. Breeze is being dropped low. Flame Strike lands on pretty much everyone from Liquid. They've managed to push Na'Vi back, but are yet to get a kill. Blackscorp's trying to sneak the tribute in the background. He gets it. It's not a curse. The fight continues. There's a stun onto Lily. She is still alive. Ancestral onto Breeze, keeping him keeping him alive. And everyone survives for Na'Vi. They don't get the tribute, but they've managed to put a huge amount of pressure onto Liquid, and the fact they got that kill is very nice for them.
You're going to see like these kind of team fights, these long, drawn-out team fights. It's two tanks against two healers and a heck of a lot of control to go between them. Gargantuan, spiders, plagues, plague of toads. We're going to have roaches, banelings, hydralisks, water dragons. Like, there's so much stuff that's going to be out and about on the battlefield. But because, you know, double here against double tank, it's probably going to be more and more drawn out. Now, getting that kill on top of Grandpacutter, good, but is it enough?
Well, they got Blackscorp in the top lane and the fort, and the tribute literally just spawned, so Liquid immediately heading down to that bot lane to start on their boss, because they're like, yeah, we're a player down, and they're right next to the tribute, so we're just going to grab this. However, Na'Vi, they're on the way. They want to contest this, and Liquid having to back away from this. Nothing they can do. Na'Vi taking full control of this game.
And Na'Vi is actually going to get that curse there to do. Wow. All right. So Na'Vi at level 13. Let's take a quick look at them. It is more or less just the healing build coming out from the Rhaegar. We do got, of course, the reverberations for our dear departed Mirrodin. So, reverberations against Nazeebo and Zagara.
Yeah, that does confuse me a little. I guess it works against Tyrael. but Tyrael is running the Amplified Healing Imposing Will. Both these teams getting a bit of stuff to counter autos when neither team's actually running full auto here. Blackscorp coming in. Zombie Wall does not land on Splendor, but in comes Lucifer. There's the Judgment and gets cleansed. And Splendor gets away. Very well played there by Na'Vi. And they are just making the most out of their little advantage here. They're going to get mid-fort as well. And they are rocking this game at the moment.
Is it me, or does Tyrande actually not have a talent at 13?
She has not chosen it yet, no. She's
We're almost
waiting.
level 15. What's going on, girl?
We are level 15. She still hasn't chosen it. Well,
All right.
She's just waiting it out at the moment.
Well, what are the choices? Sprint, Overflowing Light, and a Hunter's Mark talent.
Yeah, and Hunter's Mark is like healing for whoever attacks, isn't it? I believe. And there's not really any
I don't get
auto
to see it
attack
that
based,
often, so I'm gonna
so
go. Yeah, sure.
yeah, there's
all
no
right.
one auto attack based on their team, so
Well, at
it
level
would be
16 she'll
sprint
figure
or
it out.
overflowing light, I'd assume.
She'll figure it out. It's good.
Yeah, there we go, overflowing light.
Okay, so a little bit of extra heals to come up from that, Tyrande. So, the wind also coming out again there for that Lily.
Yep.
But,
Hindering wind, 25% extra slow, so very slow focus Lily.
very slow yeah, pretty much. I mean, like, almost everybody there do actually have a set of disables. Zombie Donut kind of counting for that one on that regard. But who is Uther going to use the Shrink Ray on?
If I had to guess, it would be one of the warriors, I'd say, just to remove the threat from it. But we will have to see. For now, though, Blackscorp just throwing spiders in. There's a Zombie Donut, like you said. Phoenix coming in to try and zone them out of the way, but Liquid definitely looking like they want to contest this. Nope, they're going to back up. Just not choosing to fight. And the boss, another one, going over to Na'Vi. Blackscorp gets web blasted. He is in a lot of trouble here. Lucifer coming in to try and distract, but Blackscorp is just completely boned. There's the stun lock come down. There's the vulnerable, and down he goes. And Liquid, not looking good here. The boss just took down the bot fort. That's all 3 forts of Liquid down. Na'Vi just going to continue pushing this in the bot lane with that boss.
So the pressure is actually really starting to mount, especially with that level 16 talent increase. That talent tier advantage here from Na'Vi. It's really hard to mount a defensive from Team Liquid. They don't exactly have the best of defensive comps either.
Yeah, Water Dragon coming out here. It's going to land onto Breeze once again, but he just tanks it up. There's the Stone Form, and he's just pretty much back to full health already. And they continue to push this forward. They get the keep. There's the stun onto Tyrael. He gets to find Shielded to keep him alive, and Liquid just completely on the back foot here. Two levels behind, a talent behind, and Na'Vi just going to leave the base here and go after that tribute.
Well, I mean, the boss is just basically going to keep Liquid there, and they need level 16, so, I mean, they can't really push out either way. They're just going to try to soak up as much of that experience as it comes to them, but without that map control, yeah, they are going to have a really hard time picking up some of those tributes, and already, another one, Na'Vi into the pocket. And with this positioning, are they going for their own boss in that top?
Oh, Death Brush, careful. They dodged the knockup from Manubarak. But that does mean that they can't really do boss now that they know Liquid are here. Stun lands onto Zagara, but no follow-up for it at the moment. Spiders, they do know Blackscorp now has the leaping spiders, so we can keep vision of where Na'Vi is and force them to back up if they don't want to take all that damage for quite a while. And Liquid is going to keep the pressure on in this area and push the top lane a bit, do some damage to that fort, and keep, just so that they know where Na'Vi is, because Na'Vi has to be around here to defend this and to try and fight the boss. There's the stun combos, though. Managed to catch Falcon, but Falcon is still fine. Lucifer gets healed after that Flame Strike. Wobby coming in from below, though. He uses his Web Blast onto Zagara. Zagara's completely separated from her team here. Water Dragon gonna land onto Wobby. There is a huge stun onto Blackscorp and Ufa. Blackscorp sprinting away, trying to keep himself alive. Falcon is still alive after coming out of that Web Blast. The Maw landed on 2 members, but they are both out and rejoining the fight. Currently, Ufa, the only one dead. Ancestral Healing, able to heal Wobby back to full health. Down goes Tyrael. Blackscorp's going to die to the Flame Strike, and we're going to see Falcon go down as well. And that is a 5 for 1, in favor of Na'Vi. And they're just going to move in here. And it looks like they may just go for the end. Yep, they are just going to move through mid and go for the core.
Well, when you have a path right up to that core, you might as well take it. 3-level advantage there as well. I guess the curse has to be me, Tetcher. Every time I watch the Lily play, she just never wins. It must be something to do with me.
Maybe, totally not anything to do with Lily. But, yeah, for now, Na'Vi pushing this in. Uther, the only one alive. and we're going to see GG here, and Na'Vi will take game number 1. In comes Tyrael, though. They are all alive. Last ditch effort from Liquid, but there's too much damage going down. There's the web blast, preventing any more, and there it is. GG, Na'Vi take game number 1.
The dive comps on these immobile specialists, Zagara, Nazeebo, not exactly a lot of escape options available to you there. I mean, we did take out the Uther for, not only did he go for reach, but the protective shield, cleanse, and the shrink rate. Like, he was really looking to keep those guys alive, but it's a big game of mobility. It's a big game of ranges right now. Like, the Kael'thas with that flamethrower, with that ignite, he could just hit people so far away, and the dive comp of not only the Nubarak but the Muradin as well, it's just like it locks people up so much. It was basically a field day for the Kael'thas. By the end of it, sure, he did drop for a 5-for-1 exchange at that last engage, but every single time, who went down first? Uther. Who was the guy to keep these guys alive? Uther.
Yep, Uther getting focused very hard there. Only one on this team. There was only one kill on the board for Liquid by the end of that, and Uther was the only one not involved in it. He is sitting at a 0-2 in terms of kill deaths there. But one thing I'd like to point out there is the Water Dragon on Lili may have been cool. We didn't really get to see it work, though, because every single time it is an auto-target ability. It goes to the nearest hero, and it only hit the warriors on the side of Na'Vi. They just tanked it up and kept on going.
Well, a very interesting set of drafting here in game number 1. A very interesting result there as well. The double specialist from Team Liquid just unfortunately not being cheeky enough, Tetcher. So game number 2, if I recall, is Garden of Terror? Or is it Tomb of the Spider Queen?
I believe so. Yep, it is Terror.
All right. Yeah. Go memory go. Garden of Terror for game 2. We're going to be setting that up here, ladies and gentlemen. And when we come back, the EU Hitbox Stormgrounds Grand Finals will continue. We're going to tell you a little bit about some of the things you can win when we return.
Spent too many nights living coke, getting right.